Hello, everyone, and welcome to RazorSecure's webinar on TS 50701, the CENELEC technical specification on railway applications and cybersecurity. Today, we're going to talk about TS 50701 and how it presents a unified cybersecurity perspective for the railway sector. And the presenters are myself, Dr. Emma Taylor, Head of Digital Safety at RazorSecure, and my colleague, Robert Brown, the Executive Chairman. Robert, would you like to explain how long you've been working on TS 50701?
Yeah, thanks, Emma. Yes, I joined the team, European team in 2017, and it's been a real privilege working with the cybersecurity experts in the rail industry. So looking forward to your presentation.
And as we go through, I'll be coming in and asking you some questions. So we have many challenges faced at the moment by the rail industry. At the time when this standard, this technical specification was being considered, there really wasn't a common position to bring together the industry. And cybersecurity was known about, but it wasn't being considered in documents, approvals, or standards. And there was new digital technology that was being introduced for operational applications. So you had this mismatch. Robert, can you give me any examples of any problems that you saw during the early stages of the development of the standard? Any scenarios or examples it's worthwhile people knowing about?
I think one of the main challenges we had was, first of all, the realization that trains are now digital, the new trains. They're a collection of computers, up to 200 computers on the tracks, which makes them a challenge from a cybersecurity perspective. And also the coming together of safety and security. I think those were the two main challenges.
Absolutely. I mean, that was the starting position that we had with the TS 50701 project. And it was impressive to see how everybody came together under the banner of CENELEC. There was clearly in the early stages and consistently all the way through the need for a consistent approach for cybersecurity across the whole of the rail industry. And thanks to the team, the Working Group 26 team, of which RazorSecure are part, everybody came together and everybody understood there will be challenges ahead. So Robert, you worked in the room for the past 4 years along with Siemens, Alstom, Thales, CAF, DB, TÜV, SNCF and ÖBB. Can you give a sort of sense for some of the discussions that we had?
Well, I keep coming back to the biggest challenge I think we had was bringing together safety and security. You know, the railway industry is very, very good on safety. It's mandated. We know that we have to comply with safety. Yet we've now got this new thing coming along, security. How does that fit with safety? Two very different things, but if a system is not secure, then basically it's not safe. So I think having those two coming together was the biggest challenge we had.
Absolutely. The collaboration meant that we could take action and move forward. And talking about like the adaptation of general cybersecurity standards, I think there are 4 really interesting points that came out during the discussions, and 4 really interesting points that like reflect RazorSecure's perspective because we do rail cybersecurity. And perhaps they seem quite simple, but it's worthwhile running through them. I mean, when you're doing a risk assessment, you need to recognize that trains don't stay in one place, and also that they are connected to the wayside Wi-Fi and communication systems, not continuously, but they do actually, as they move through, connect on and connect off. Trains also have passengers, and passengers have digital devices. And last but not least, trains have got this complex architecture. Robert, of those 4, which do you think is the most challenging?
Um, I think, well, they're all challenging actually.
I've put you on the spot, haven't I?
No, I wouldn't necessarily pick out one in isolation.
Okay, it all works together. But like the key message is that TS 50701 is adapted for rail. Now, we sort of summarized the obstacles in this one slide. And Robert, you talked about already the challenges involved in safety and cybersecurity coming together, the importance of like the system life cycle, the system requirements, and also the fact that things are changing externally, that like the train itself might not change, but the system around it does. And I'm just going to reiterate that like systems and networks are not safe unless they are also secured. This is a common theme throughout this presentation, and it's a common theme throughout TS 50701. An extra point here is that for a safety system to be secure, it really needs to be continuously monitored, and also there needs to be secure access control. Robert, why is that?
Well, continuously monitoring is one of the key aspects of cybersecurity, particularly in the rail industry. You can't just have one pen test and then tick a box, as you can perhaps with a safety case. You have to have the systems and the trains and the networks continuously monitored, because you want to try and pick up an attack or a potential attack right at the beginning when somebody is doing their investigation work. I think that's one of the key things. And then from secure access control, one of the areas that we need to recognize is potentially it's the insider, it's the guy with the Siemens jacket on or the Bombardier jacket on who may have been compromised. They're the people who we need to be making sure that we're controlling access and they're not doing something that they shouldn't do.
Absolutely. It's probably important to point out that it's not just Siemens and Bombardier, but everybody in the rail industry that has got the potential for being compromised, knowingly or unknowingly. So this is why continuous monitoring is so important. So we're coming back to like TS 50701. We've really made the case for the need for this document, and also like outlines some of the challenges involved in getting to that point. But in less than sort of 4 years, there was this agreement reached, and now we're in the position that this week TS 50701 has been published. There are sort of there are four sort of key points: the mutual understanding, the consensus on priorities, the different assessment of risks, and also the resolving the safety and security requirements and the different system definitions. Robert, you've highlighted a few points as we've gone through. Is there anything that you want to pick out that you've not yet said around the challenges and the route towards reaching agreement?
No, not at the moment.
Excellent. We've got more slides coming, some more opportunities to pick out. So this is where we're at today. We've got the rail industry. It's very good at safety, and we're celebrating the rail industry. And now we've got, the very valuable contribution that TS 50701, and it's got the potential to bring together a stronger community in Europe and worldwide around like this mutual understanding, transparency, consensus, and collaboration. There's an opportunity for more technical and organizational alliances. So the next steps now, where do we go from here? I think I wanted to point out here that no one really carries the burden alone, and that everyone in the rail industry is part of the shared solution and all voices are valued. Whether it's the regulator, operator, system integrators, manufacturers, or supply chain, everyone has got a part to play. Robert, would you like to give some examples of how you've seen these different organizations work together with RazorSecure under the framework of rail cybersecurity? Any examples you can share?
Yes, yes. I would suggest that the train builders are perhaps leading the pack. They do understand the requirements for improved cybersecurity. However, they are driven also not just by standards, but by customer requirements. I think perhaps one of the biggest challenges we face within the industry is bringing the supply chain along with us. That's the comment that I hear again and again. The regulators, I think, are getting it. I don't think they've quite understood the implications and how they manage cybersecurity. Operators are obviously challenged at the moment with financially challenged with the pandemic and the recovery program, but they are also generally moving ahead as well. So yes, I think the industry is moving ahead, but repeating myself, the supply chain is the area where I think there's quite a bit of catch up to be done.
I think this is one of the powers of like a good standard, a good technical specification, TS 50701, because it establishes a common language and a common baseline of understanding. And when you come, whether it's the cybersecurity or the safety perspective, often we're doing things well, but it's the things that we're not doing or we're not doing well enough that usually come back and cause an issue. And the standard is going to help us close the gap in that direction, wherever you are in the supply chain, whatever your size of organization or whatever your activity. It sets a framework for improvement around cybersecurity. So as the document's being released, and it's probably the right point in this webinar to point out, this is not the last of TS 50701 content coming from RazorSecure. It's just the first of a series. But as you're sitting there taking delivery of the document and looking at it and thinking, where do I start? I just wanted to highlight first Robert's 3 top picks and my 3 top picks, things to look out for when you're reading the document. So Robert, up for you. Your top 3 picks first.
Okay, well, the first one is legacy fleets. You know, that represents to me 80% of the challenge, where we have these existing fleets, some older fleets and some more modern fleets. The industry is moving towards including a cyber risk assessment in the formal change control process, and I think that would be a tremendous step forward. Next one down is internal threats, a recognition, as I've mentioned previously, that potentially the biggest or one of the main threats that is quite often overlooked is the compromised insider. And then the third one is new contracts. And what we are seeing is that virtually all new contracts, not just in the UK or in Europe, but globally, are having clearer cybersecurity requirements. And I'm hoping that TS 50701 will add to that clarity.
I think so. I think that it's got a great potential to help address the railway industry as it is right now, of which there are many legacy fleets, and also increase the understanding around the internal threats. So my top 3 picks complement yours quite nicely. I think there are 3 areas that, as like a long-standing safety specialist coming from a standards organization, I think it's worthwhile pointing out. One of them really is whether you're looking at design or operations, I would encourage people to bring together both the safety and the cybersecurity discipline specialists together for all key decisions, because different perspectives, whether it's IT or OT or safety, help produce a more rounded view of the system and a better risk assessment overall. So bring people together. I think another thing that I would want to point out, and this feeds up to the theme about cybersecurity is not a one-step activity, it's a through life cycle thing, is that visibility, understanding what your system is and understanding what it's done through monitoring is absolutely essential. And the TS 50701 helps you build that sort of architecture model and understand how it works and the vulnerabilities. And this visibility and monitoring is so important, not just for normal operations baseline, but for all operational modes, whether it's system fault or degraded operation or maintenance. For cybersecurity, you have to look at all the ways in which your system's working. And last but not least, across the supply chain, this long, complex organization that we have that brings trains together, builds them, and then operates them, there are specialist suppliers who have deep technical knowledge, and we are just one of them in the whole railway ecosystem. And if you want to understand overall, when you take the standard and you want to apply it directly, why not ask your supply chain specialists where they see the vulnerabilities are? It helps make the topic and the issue of rail cybersecurity and the implementation of TS 50701 come to life. So we're moving towards the end of this presentation, but there's just a few more slides. People will be naturally asking, TS 50701 is out. How will it impact me? What does it mean? And there's 2 component parts. Really, it's around the changes in the regulatory environment and also at a technical level. And I'll be asking Robert to give some examples of how things can go wrong. Also at the technical level, there can be caused issues. But first and foremost, where you work under the common safety methods, CSMRA, risk assessment, and also monitoring, there is a requirement to do a risk assessment. There is also a requirement to use certain standards, including the TSIs. And there's now the EU NIS directive. Now, TS 50701 will play a key part in bringing these together, even if its role as a technical specification. It helps knit together the different components of legislation and standards. And also one of the things where TS 50701 is this harmonization. You have a system under consideration, which is the cybersecurity perspective, and you also have the safety perspective, the CSMRI system definition. So that's one area in which TS 50701 will impact you. But another area is about changing the perspective of the risk. And Robert, would you like to talk about the combined life cycle approach and highlight some ways in which things can go wrong?
Yeah, I think looking at the risks when we're looking at particularly in rail vehicles, I always try and take just a common sense approach. Where can somebody enter the system? Where can somebody enter the networks on the vehicle? I'd highlight the wireless communication, the mobile communication gateways, whether it's for remote condition monitoring or whether it's for passenger Wi-Fi. I'd highlight switch ports where maintainers plug in to do some maintenance. Not just the switches though, but they can gain access by plugging into CCTV cameras, HMIs, and so on. So just standing back and taking just a common sense view, where are my vulnerabilities, where are my risks, and then how can I mitigate those?
That's a really clear picture. Is there anything in TS 50701 which helps people take that common sense view?
Yes, you've got the section on risk assessment, which is really quite a formal section, which hopefully we can explain in one of our follow-on briefings. And then in one of the appendices, there's a section all about how to improve cybersecurity on your legacy vehicles. So I think those two sections are quite useful, actually.
Thank you very much. TS 50701 helps us all get practical and common sense about cybersecurity. So we are now moving to a launch of a technical specification, TS 50701, but we're also moving to a more digital network system. In the future, everybody's going to be aware that a digital train has many hundreds of systems and devices and passwords, and this greater awareness is going to lead to more questions around digital safety. One of the three questions we think people are going to look and start to ask are the following. Do you know what systems are on your train, and do you know how they're connected? The second one is around monitoring. How are you monitoring your systems to make sure that there's no unauthorized access? It's not enough just to monitor, you need to monitor the right things. And last but not least, at the time of an incident, can you tell which system failure might have contributed to it? Now, these three questions are key. If you are unable to ask these, how will you ensure that your train is safe? And so at this point that I've raised this question, I'm going to say that there will be a continued conversation. We've just given you a very high overview of TS 50701 and how it will influence the railway industry going forward. But as Robert said, this is just the start of our series of briefings. And there are 4 more to come, and they will cover these following topics: everything to do with the railway system overview and the product life cycles, the system definition and the initial risk assessment, and that detailed risk assessment that Robert highlighted. You have security requirements and also the assurance. And last but not least, the operation, maintenance, and disposal. All of these are key for the overall system lifecycle and management of safety and cybersecurity together in combination. And as we're going through, we will highlight some of the key topics that come up in the informative appendices that support the implementation, provide additional information for TS 50701. We could carry on talking more about these, but I think it's time to bring it to a close. But I just want to point out 3 annexes that Robert will be covering in the conversation around legacy systems, the security design principles, and of course, the combination of safety and cybersecurity. So I'll finish with a wrap up, and I'll invite Robert to give some last thoughts here. Summarizing, and thank you very much for your attention over this webinar. We are RazorSecure. We are rail cybersecurity specialists. We are live and operating on the railway right now with 1,600 live vehicles and over 50 million passenger journeys protected. And just here you can see some of our customers, and we work with others too as well. Robert, are there any last final thoughts you'd like to give before we wrap up on TS 50701, the introduction?
No, Emma, thank you very much indeed. That was a really good overview, and there's a lot more to add. And we hope that you'll join us in our follow-on updates. Thank you.
Thank you. And basically watch our webinar and watch this space. Thank you very much.